A common opinion that you probably see all over social media is that kettlebells can't build muscle, but is this actually true? I actually put off starting kettlebells because of this mass opinion online that they don't build any muscle. So is there something about their shape that defies the laws of physics and makes them completely useless for muscle growth, or is it just a misinformed opinion? Well, let's talk about it and let me know in the comments what your experience is with using kettlebells for building muscle, whether it's positive or negative. Let's start by talking about why people think that kettlebells can't build any muscle. And the first reason actually is because people who train primarily or only with kettlebells probably don't care quite as much about building muscle in the first place as, say, bodybuilders do. If your main focus is building muscle, you're more likely to spend 6+ hours at a gym using barbells, using machines, with the one goal of improving your muscle mass. Whereas if you only do 2 to 4 kettlebell workouts a week, and your goal is more holistic health and fitness, well, you're likely to care a lot less about muscle growth and therefore achieve less muscle growth. The second reason that people believe they don't build a lot of muscle is because a lot of kettlebell programs either have high weight for low reps, sometimes even 1 repetition per set, or they'll see exercises like swings and snatches for reps of 20 or 30 plus in a single set with a lighter weight. Both of these rep ranges are not optimal for building muscle. So actually it's not that kettlebells can't build muscle, it's the way that you use kettlebells maybe isn't the most effective way of stimulating muscle growth. So whilst heavier weight for fewer reps and lighter weight for more reps can be beneficial as part of an overall program, in terms of muscle building, they're actually not that effective. In order to build muscle, you want to be using a rep range of anywhere between 5 reps to about 20 reps. Now, what does a rep range actually mean? It means the number of times you do an exercise in a given set. And there's a key thing to keep in mind, and that is that the last 2 to 3 repetitions of each set should be very challenging. You should be able to do it, but it should be very challenging for you to complete. So you can't just use a really light weight and do 12 reps of kettlebell shoulder press and expect your shoulders to grow. There has to be effort. Your muscles have to get fatigued. And a good way to tell if you are actually reaching this point is that the movement slows down quite a lot. You're gonna have to grind out the last couple of reps. So 1 rep per set is not enough tension on the muscle to actually stimulate growth. Is it beneficial? Yes. Is it great for muscle growth? No. High reps, explosive movements like swings, like snatches, are they good movements for cardiovascular health? Extremely good movements for that, but do they build muscle? No. Again, there's just not enough tension on the muscle because the movements are just so quick. So how do you actually build some muscle with kettlebells? Because the fact is, they're no different from other weights. They are just a weight. They're just shaped slightly differently. You wouldn't say that a 20 kilo pair of dumbbells couldn't build muscle, so why is a 20 kilo pair of kettlebells any different? Well, again, it just comes down to how you use it. Now, firstly, the kettlebells that you use have to be heavy enough to give your muscles a challenge. Now, depending on your age, your focus will probably change. Using weights that are too heavy can risk injury, but generally, if you want to either keep your muscles or grow your muscles, they're gonna need a stimulus. They're gonna need a reason to grow back bigger. If it's easy, it's just not gonna work. There's no adaptations that will occur. You have to stress your body, stress your muscles, and as a result of that, your body adapts. So like I said before, you also need the right rep range. If you're doing sets of 1 or 2, that might be good for your overall strength, but for muscle growth, you need slightly more reps. If you're doing 20, 30, or 40 reps per set, again, it might be really good cardio, but for muscle growth, it's just not going to work. We need something called time under tension, and time under tension is best thought of like a frying pan. If you do explosive movements for higher reps like snatches and like swings, you have a very hot frying pan, but you are just tapping your finger over the top. You don't really feel any pain, there's not much damage done to your finger. You've taken your hand away before any damage can be done. This is kind of the same as swings and snatches. Yes, you are using muscles, but you're not actually putting them under enough total tension each set to stimulate growth. You're just putting your hand on the fire and taking it away again really, really quickly. So you need to do movements that keep tension on your muscles. These are more grinding movements. These are things like shoulder presses. These are things like squats. These are things like rows, things that put tension on the muscles through a range of motion and keep that tension on there. Now think about putting your hand on a hot frying pan and keeping it there. Your hand is going to burn and it's going to do a lot of damage. The difference is when you damage your muscles through exercise, they provide a stimulus to grow back bigger. So you actually want to do damage to your muscles. You want to make these little micro tears in the muscles that then grow back stronger, they grow back bigger. So really a great rep range to aim for is somewhere between 5 and 15 reps. Like I said before, the last couple of reps should be very challenging for you to do. If you're going towards the 15 reps per set range, you're going to have a burn in your muscles. If you are doing things like shoulder press and you get up to 12, 13, 14 reps, your muscles should start burning. If you're sticking to the lower range of 5 reps, you're just going to have to grind out the last couple of reps. Again, if it's hard, it means it's doing something to your body, but you don't want to go too far and make it too hard and risk injury. So just to be clear, exercises like swings and snatches are an amazing option for building cardio, for building general health and well-being. If your focus for a period of time is muscle growth, you're going to want to emphasize movements more like rows, presses, and squats that put and then keep tension on your muscles in order to provide a stimulus to make them grow back bigger. Aim for sets of 5 to 15 reps. Train each muscle group at least 2 times per week, and over the course of the next 12 to 16 weeks, you should notice at least some changes. Now, a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. Firstly, you need to be fueling your body properly if you want to grow muscle. We've mentioned this a lot before on the channel, but if you are trying to build a house, but you don't have enough bricks, it's not going to be a very good house. In the same way, if you are trying to build new muscle mass, but you're not eating enough protein, if you're not giving your body enough building blocks to build muscle with, it physically can't do it. So you need to make sure that you're eating enough protein. Generally, if you eat 3 to 4 meals a day and try and get 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal, that will be more than enough for most people. Also sleep. Most of the muscle repair mechanism happens while you're asleep. So if you're only sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night, it's going to be a lot harder for your body to repair and then actually overcompensate for the muscles that have been damaged. And by overcompensate, I mean add new muscle tissue. So what's the verdict of using kettlebells to build muscle? Well, they obviously can build muscle. They are just a weight. Any weight can be used to build muscle, but that's the key. You have to use it in the right way. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can use kettlebells, and that's why they're so amazing. They are so versatile. You can work cardio, you can work balance, you can work strength, you can work hypertrophy, which is a fancy way of saying muscle growth. Are they the most effective way of building muscle? Probably not. There's better ways. If your one and only goal is maximizing your muscle growth, you're probably better doing things like barbells and machines at the gym and spending far more time doing that. If your goal is overall health, longevity, a little bit of muscle, strength, balance, coordination, and holistic fitness, then yes, kettlebells can build you muscle if you use them in the right way as part of a well-balanced program. So yes, kettlebells can build muscle, case closed.